So I'd like to welcome everyone here this evening, and we will start by standing and saying the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will move on to approval of the agenda, 4.1. Recommend that the board approves the September 3rd, 2019 agenda. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
So moved. Second.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a vote.
Johnson.
Aye.
Morris.
Aye.
McFarland.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Springer.
Aye.
Zimmer.
Aye.
Has 7 votes.
President's report. 5.1, public comments will occur during the public comments portion of the meeting. If you're interested in addressing the board, fill out the required public participation in board meeting form and submit it to Mrs. Mitchell, who's in the front row. As far as President's report this evening, it seems like we've gotten off to a really great start to the school year. Everybody I'm talking to, teachers and administrators, seem like they've gotten off to a good start. And I'm not going to say anything about this right now. I really want to do backflips on her because she's got an immunization and physical report that I'm very excited about. It's one of the best we've had in years, so I'm good with that. But I'll talk about that later.
Do we motion to make you do backflips?
Everyone's waiting. Stretcher. Also need to announce the Sub-District 5 vacancy that we've had, and Mrs. Moore will talk later, for the end of the school board meeting. But the new school board member from Sub-District 5 is Tiffany Mathis. And we will have her at the end of this meeting. Congratulations. At the end of this meeting, we will have you come out and take the oath of office, so for the next meeting, you can be official and hit the ground running. So congratulations. We will now do board salutes. Let's start with McFarland.
Sure. I want to salute the staff, volunteers, and everyone involved in the Early Learning Center. VLC had their open house on the 26th, and we went for 7 full hours. And along with that, before any new student walked into ELC, they got face-to-face visits with their teachers and the parents one-on-one. And so I got to meet 2 different teachers because my twins are going to 2 different teachers. But ELC is an amazing place for this district. And I'm extremely excited. When my twins were born, I was looking forward to the day when we'd be going to ELC again. So I just want to salute all the folks over at ELC. We're looking forward to a wonderful year.
He likes the fire trucks. And I'd just like to salute the district as a whole. Kind of comparing to the last meeting, I'll save my comments for later, but just the transition into this new school year has been pretty seamless, and I'm very proud of that, and it's all because of the hard work of all the teachers and administrators within the district. So, good job.
I have nothing to report tonight.
I'm thinking I didn't either, but I don't know if I mentioned the last time, I did go to the Jefferson Open House. And that was a very well attended event. And last week I went to the teacher appreciation reception, which was held at the Illinois State Museum. So that was, it was back at the museum. It was fun, but they didn't have the gift shop anymore, so that was kind of disappointing. And on Friday, I had an opportunity to sit in with superintendent and several administrators from over there at the table, and we discussed data. I've been asking for data about what's going on in our schools and who's where and all that kind of stuff. I can report that they're getting there. They haven't quite got everything that I want, but I think as soon as we get it all together, then we will be able to have a full report put before the board on the status of what's going on in this district. So everybody can look forward to that. I had some suggestions. My dear friend, Ms. Boozer, I didn't yell at her, but she's going to get me some more information. So I'm looking forward to it.
myself and Ms. Johnson had the ability to be able to stop by for the Teachers Appreciation. So I want to thank the Illinois State Museum and Horace Mann and the Foundation for recognizing our teachers. And it just wasn't 186, it was all Sangamon County teachers, so, and it was very well attended. A very nice evening for the teachers, you know, because that's where the rubber meets the road. And I know we got a couple principals here, but, the rubber meets the road in the classroom, and we had a chance to be able to honor them and to, just to say thank you, and that was really nice. Also had the opportunity to go out to CACC. It seems like when events happen, they're all on the same night. So I did have an opportunity to go out and talk with Mr. Amer and, some of his staff and had a chance to tour CACC that day. As Mr. Zinner said, it looks like we're going to get a good report when it comes to hopefully one of the best we've had in a while when it comes to schools, kids being ready to get immunized and all the rest that goes with that. A great first week of football. So we're here, we're ready, and I'm excited for this year. So thank you. And Ms. Moore, it's been my pleasure.
I just, on the heels of Labor Day, I wanted to give a salute to all the men and women out there that are representing our proud trades and labor. Yesterday, my family, I guess it was Tuesday. It was yesterday. My family went downtown to partake in the parade festivities, and it was really great to see such a strong labor presence, not only in central Illinois, but in Springfield and here in District 186. So I just wanted to throw some recognition out there and salute everybody.
And Mr. Zimmers, I have one more. I did go to Fighton's on the 19th, and I went to look at the alternative classroom that Rita Tarr teaches, and I did learn quite a bit that day about what goes on in her classroom and in the other special rooms that are in Fighton. I had a hard time getting in there, though. I had to call open the 1900 because I couldn't get the gate open. And so I wonder what happens when parents go over there. Can they get the gate open? So, yeah. But it was a good visit, and Principal Boozer, she spent some time with me. I don't like to take principals and administrators away from their duties, so I try to get in and get out. But it was a very good visit. So those two principals that are sitting here tonight, I hope to get over to their place maybe next week.
Okay, we'll move on to discussion item 6.1, old business. Any members have any old business they'd like to discuss?
I would like to recognize the superintendent turning 50 just a couple weeks ago.
Well done. Well played, sir.
I don't know if we need a roll call to support that.
Well placed on the agenda, yes. It did happen.
Welcome.
Yep, welcome to the club. Is it 5340? There you go.
That was good.
Well done, Mike.
I don't get to do that too often.
I know.
Okay, 6 go ahead.
Superintendent, we had a member of the audience come up and speak last session, so maybe kind of give us an update on the...
Okay. Yes, Erin, thank you. Mr. Graves, thank you for coming and speaking on behalf of your staff that you serve each and every day. We appreciate your service to our district. We appreciate all of the members that are in the room. I think you brought up some points that are kind of global issues, not only here in District 186, but across the country, but things that we have to wrestle with right here in our own community and find solutions to together. So I appreciate you speaking. I really don't think, you just kind of talked about a long list of things, but just said, I think that the best way to work is together and not against one another. So that's the part that's in my heart. I can't always say yes to everything because I have a kind of a big job here and a budget to follow, but we do know that we appreciated your statements and we appreciate the things that you're fighting for, because I was in that classroom not that many years ago when serving a school with teachers. So thank you for coming this week and for bringing such a large group tonight. And I know Adams and Blackhawk have some people here too. Yep.
Okay, 6.2, new business. Any board members have any new business? Hearing none, we'll move on to student business. Grace.
Okay, so tomorrow we have our first student roundtable meeting with the previous members, not the members who will be applying. The members who apply will attend the next meeting. Tomorrow, though, we're talking about something I'm really excited about. It's still like in the very beginning stages, but it's going to be a type of communication in between roundtable members and middle schoolers. So we'll implement it this year after our first middle school visits. And so right now we're thinking of possibly doing like a Google phone number, which like Google gives you through Gmail. And then the middle schoolers could text the number, and then a select few students from Roundtable could come up with a response, and then adults could respond it to them. And it would be questions about more like social things of high school, or questions that if they don't have an older sibling to ask, things like that, so they would have access to the information.
It's very timely. My daughter just moved into college, and you can, through like Instagram now, you can like text questions and people respond to you through the Instagram, like, but everybody gets to see the response, not just the people who, so there's all kinds of stuff out there. We'll vet it and talk to our tech department and see what we can do, but it's nice to have kids talking to kids. Looking forward to it, Grace. It'll be fun to run.
So have you gotten off to a good start this year?
Yeah.
Southeast, all right. Good job. Keep up the good work. Alrighty, now presentations to the board. I'll turn it over to Mrs. Gill.
All right, so this is the first of what will be a series of very short presentations called Spark 5. It's a new kind of tradition that we hope to begin to bring our schools to the podium to present briefly about some things that they're very excited about. So the idea is that we'll hear about 5 key indicators that align with our district's strategic goals and also our collective commitments that we have together. Each school presentation will be unique. They've been given latitude to tell their story, but each presentation shouldn't be longer than 5 or 10 minutes. So it's a big challenge to get all of that in. We know that we will have longer data conversations about individual schools. As Mrs. Johnson discussed, we'll have, specific data previews coming up, and then also our school report card presentation. But this is just so that we can spark some interest in our schools, spark interest in our board members to go and visit and learn about the schools, but also just give a chance for our principals to showcase the great things that are going on. In each of the presentations, they've been asked to talk about their opportunities for growth, but also their points of pride. So first up tonight, which one did you put up first?
I put up Adams.
Adams, okay, so we'll introduce Mr. Mike Grossen to the podium for Jane Addams. Board members, in your packet, you had a one-pager that kind of goes over everything, and then also the presentation.
Hello, members of the board and Mrs. Gill. I'm Mike Grossen, principal of Jane Addams. Been the principal of Jane Addams since 2016-2017 school year. We're the home of the Jaguars, Jane Addams Jaguars, a small neighborhood school. Located on the northwest side of town. We're just a little east of Bruns Lane, tucked in there, and a little bit south of North Grand Avenue. Last year, our ISBE, or Illinois State Board of Education designation for us was a commendable school. We are sitting at approximately 250, but I'm going to say 248 students as of tomorrow. We are a title school, and our low-income population is, according to last year's school report card, is 79.4%. We have 2 sections of every grade level, kindergarten through 5th grade, with 2 special needs classes, 1 K2 autism classroom and 1 3 through 5 ED class. All right, next slide. I hope. Swipe. Got it. I got it. Good. So going along with goal number 1, expand opportunities for all students, empower them to learn and succeed. Basically, I would say sort of one point of pride for us is our data, is the way we analyze data and the way we look at data. We actually analyze data at least monthly to review the strengths and needs of our students, both academically and socially, emotionally, and behaviorally. We determine next steps based on that data for maybe, let's say, the whole classroom, or possible individual students or groups of students where we can maybe group our students together. We determine these via collaboration time, the use of collaboration time in our meetings. Also, we have data team meetings once a month, so we're crunching the data, we're crunching the progress monitoring data with our psych, our soc, myself, our reading, our literacy teacher, and our BBSS strategist slash coach. So we do that. That's a big point of emphasis for us the last 3-4 years. When looking at MAP, I'm just going to briefly go over that because we could get deep and we could be a lot longer than 10 minutes or my 15 minutes that I was going to talk.
Oh, yeah.
Or 5, sorry. Well, when we've done MAP assessment the last 2 years, measurement of academic progress, and when looking at our students' projected growth from the beginning year to the end of year, basically we have met or exceeded those growth projections in basically every grade except like 1 or 2 those last 2 years. We've been making great growth in our MAP data, both in reading and also math. I was going to talk up there's a couple graphs there about the IAR/PARC. Actually, we don't have the IAR data yet because that's still preliminary, but we do have 3-year trend data from the PARC from 2016 through 2018. You can see we've gone in ELA, English Language Arts, from 11.9% meeting and exceeding to 21.2%, and we're cautiously optimistic about growth for this past year. And then math, from 2016 to 2018, from 11.5% meeting and exceeding to 28.7%. Now, is that good? No. That's something that we're going to work on. That's something that we continually to work on daily. And we're up not sleeping at night trying to figure out how we can help our students be the best they can be. One of the things I really talk to students about doing is moving from one category to the next. So if I was on approached or almost meets, my goal for them is to move over to the next step, to the meets category. If they're on did not meet, the next step would be to the partially met. So my goal is not for a kid to move from the lowest level on the PARC to the highest level. It's to move one step a year, and our goal is for them to grow each year as we move on. And that's another whole conversation I have with all the kids in the classroom before all of our assessments. We talk about on the announcements as well. Our instructional focus, student-friendly version is I can read carefully, I can think deeply, I can show my understanding. And this year we added I can set goals and make goals and set goals and make a plan to achieve those goals. We know through a lot of research that goal setting is very important, and also not just setting a goal, but making a plan to how to achieve that goal. So we're putting that in there, our student-friendly academic focus, along with we enjoy learning relentlessly, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. The next slide is goal 2, talking about enhancing academic and emotional support for students. We'd already talked about the academic support, so I'll just talk a little bit about emotional. Quick 5 essential data, sort of our culture, climate data. Student-teacher trust. This was actually done by the students. They answered these questions on the 5 essentials. Students and teachers share a high level of mutual trust and respect. This was at the highest performance level. Teacher-principal trust. This was actually completed by all staff, excluding myself. Teachers and principals share a high level of mutual trust and respect, and this was again at the highest level, performance level, as completed by our staff. And then I think the biggest one is teacher-teacher relationships. Again, it was completed by our staff. We scored at the highest level on the collective responsibility, which is when teachers share a strong sense of responsibility for student development, school improvement, and professional growth. I truly feel in the last 3 years we moved from a sort of a commitment, a culture of compliance to a culture of commitment at our school, and that's another thing that we're really proud about. You can also see that's really working with our discipline data. The top graph just visually shows our ODRs, Office Discipline Referrals, from 2 years ago in 2017-18. We had 570 referrals. Last year we had 291. 2017-18, we had, in the second graph, is the suspensions and days out. So we had 69 suspensions in 2017-18 with students out of school for 118 days. Last year we had 14 suspensions with students out of school for only 23 days. A lot of that's due to our big push with SEL the last few years. Last year, our third grade teachers volunteered to pilot pilot a program, a SEL curriculum, and actually this year we have half of our staff is piloting the second step curriculum, where basically all of our students are getting that curriculum because they are working together during collaboration to make sure pieces of that are getting out to all of our students. And last year, we also added an important position of our BBSS strategist/coach. Ms. Griffiths really helps with bringing out some of the positive things within our building and helping with our students. Engaging families and community, we engage families daily, talking to them while I'm standing in the middle of the street, you know, at the beginning of school or at the end of school, on the phone, dojo messages, you know, all kinds of things, seesaw, or newsletters. So we engage our families constantly and daily. We have various family events. We have math and science night. We have 4th and 5th grade basketball, family reading night, actually this year. September 19th, Family Reading Night. It's National Talk Like a Pirate Day, so we're having a pirate-themed Family Reading Night. So I'll be, if you want to come by at 9 o'clock and hear the announcements, you'll have some fun. But so we're having that event. We have a lot of things. End of the year luau, as you can see, we're all having fun. Friday Food Pantry, we do that as well. Some of our students don't really know necessarily where the next meal is coming from over the weekend. Through community partners, we are able to basically load up their backpacks with non-perishable items. Last year, we served about 20, 25 families. This year, we're at 10, but still early in the year. We'll get up to that to help the students and their families out for the weekend. And then we have various community partners, from people helping with getting shoes. I call a friend who picks up shoes, brings it to school whenever we need it, anything like that. So really very fortunate with the community partners. One of our collective commitments in action is equitable opportunities for all. We are a one-to-one school in technology. We are K through 5 one-to-one with technology. K through 3rd grade, we are one-to-one with iPads, and 4th and 5th, we're one-to-one with Chromebooks. We wanted to make sure that our students have access to both different platforms. You can work on a Chromebook and work on an iPad, and a lot of times, actually, we have a little bit. They can actually do both to try to get those the experiences before they get on to middle school. And then another collective commitment in action, I mean, it's just sort of, you gotta come. You gotta come and see it. I can't really put it in words. I sort of say the flavor of the place. You got to get to know the flavor of the place. We have a welcoming experience. First day of school, we did a New Year's Eve or New Year's Day theme. So Happy New Year. I wore a goofy hat, and Happy New Year to everybody. And we did some of the things like that I talked about on the announcements. Instead of doing a resolution, we're doing a one word. It's a book that we've read in the past with PPD. So our one word for our school is relentless, and we're not going to give up on the kids, and the kids can't give up. Teach them about having grit when they're working and those types of things, but also we're going to stay on top of them. And then I talked to them about my one word of improve. Our teachers have talked to them about their own one words in the classroom circles. And then the older students will have a one word, and we'll be doing some goal setting around that one word as the year progresses. I'm sure I didn't say everything, but I wanted to try to make it pretty quick. We greet students by name every day. You guys are welcome to come by anytime. I don't really need you to call. If you want to stop by, obviously check in the office, but you can come by whenever you'd like. Any questions?
You have some faculty out there you can introduce.
Yes.
Okay.
We have Mrs. Novi and Miss Kapnick are here, our 3 through 5 ED teacher and our 3rd grade classroom teacher. Yep. Any questions?
Thank you.
Good, all right, yeah. So
All right, Terrence, you're up.
Here, show us your socks. Show us your socks. There you go.
There we go. You just
To the members of the board and Superintendent Gill, good evening. My name is Terrence Jordan. I'm the principal at Black Hawk Elementary School. Black Hawk is the home of the bees. We're located on the southwest side of Springfield. We have about 35 students right now. We are a Title I school. We're 85% low income. Right now we have 5 minority staff members, including 2 teachers. We were designated as a commendable school by the ISBE for last year. We have 2 classrooms per grade level from kindergarten through 5th, and we have 1 3-5 cross-category class. Okay, slide. Okay, goal 1, expand opportunities for all students and empower them to learn and succeed. One of the things that we do at Black Hawk is we implemented an intervention block for our students. Every day, teachers have 30 minutes built into their schedule to provide intervention for students. What that does is allows us to layer instruction instead of supplementing. We focus a lot on goal setting. That's one of the ways that we get to know our students academically. And the research says that, and it's very important for our students to also know their goals and be able to communicate those goals. And the research says that when students understand what they need to learn, they more likely to learn it. We partner with the community. We have the TEACH program. It's teaching environmental awareness from Southeast. Students come in and they bring snakes and bring birds and all kinds of things to help kids learn about the environment. So that's not only is it helping our students, but it's also helping those high school students at Southeast. The biggest thing that we pride ourselves on is dream big. We're 85% low income. Some of our kids come to school and they don't have dreams. So it's up to us to provide dreams for them. Because if we want our students to be successful adults, they have to dream, right? And sometimes it's up to us as adults to provide those dreams for them. So we push for field trips. I had to call and beg Superintendent Gill for more money for buses for field trips last year. She obliged that and gave us what we needed. We bring in guest speakers, assemblies, all types of things to expose kids to what the world is. Okay. Enhance academic and emotional support so students can reach their full potential. We're a mosaic school, so some of our kids have the opportunity to come in and get counseling from a clinician 1 hour a week. We're also big on the SEL. I'm a huge supporter of SEL. We do walkthroughs to gauge how the climate of our school is. We have people from the outside come in and walk through. We have students complete surveys, staff members complete surveys. Some of the practices that we implement daily are welcoming ritual, the circle time, and the optimistic closure. Tutoring during and after school, we use Title I funds to support instruction by hiring tutors to come in and support students. We have a tutoring program after school as well. We're a technology one-to-one school. Every student from kindergarten through 5th grade has an iPad. And mentors, we're big on mentors. I know this might be hard to believe, but on a given week, we'll have upwards of 100 volunteers in our school. Mentoring kids, working with kids. We have several different mentoring programs. One of them is academic-based, where they come in and they teach a curriculum during lunchtime. And one of them is just strictly relationships. Have fun, have an adult that they can trust and look up to. We have the Boys and Girls Club after school program, and we have Club Compass, which is for a program for disadvantaged students. Family and community engagement. This is big at our school. We have a FACE team, and on our FACE team, we have members from all of our community partners, and we have a lot of community partners. We have an IoT and PTC team. We meet regularly to talk about what we need to do to improve our school, what's working well, what things that we can improve. We also identify goals and have a plan to attain those goals. Our community partners, we have Southside Christian Church. They are one of our big community partners. Just last year, you saw the picture in the front. They donated $10,000 to do upgrades to our signage at our school. You'll see a picture at the end too. I saw you looking. We also have Passfield Baptist Church. They're our neighbor. We also have Peace Lutheran Church. Right now, we offer a library to our students. On Wednesday and Thursday, we have 10 librarians that volunteer. They were just in the office talking to me the other day about how they went out and raised money and bought new books and replacing some of the old books that are torn and sending books to RC to get barcoded. So they love their job, they love what they do, they love it at our school. We have our monthly family engagement events, and they are really well attended. We have 235 students. We had our Meet the Teacher night last week. We had 350 people there that attended that event. So that represented well over 50% of our student population. Another thing that's I think is instrumental to our school is that the principal, which is me, obviously. I try to be involved in the community, especially the community around my school, to know what's going on. So I'm a member of the MacArthur Boulevard Association. I'm on the board of directors for United Way. I'm on Southside Missions team. And all those people serve our students. So that's how I know what's going on. I get to talk well about the district and about our school. And that's how we get so much support from the community and so many people willing to come in and help. We have volunteers that we have a job for you no matter what you like. If you don't want to work with kids, I got something for you to do. We have people that come in and their job is they don't even talk to kids. They cut paper, they laminate, they make copies for teachers. Teachers get a basket, they put in what they need done, and we have people that come in and that's what they do. So we try to make it open and welcome to whatever your talents are. We work around your schedule, and we just like to see people in our building. Today we had 8 ISU students that'll be there until November. So we try to open our building for everyone because we know that the more adults working with kids, the better off they'll be. Our collective commitment and action is we have a welcoming experience. The appearance of our building is welcoming. We have a family that is their job. They took it on themselves. They keep up with our landscape. They do it on the weekends, they come water, they come weed. You'll see a couple pictures later. We have a welcoming culture. From the time you call or walk in, it's our job to make sure that you feel like part of our family. We have a slogan at Black Hawk that we are family, and we want everyone that steps in our building to feel that family love. So we're open door school. So people call or come in if they want to talk to me. That goes for you all too. Just come on over and you're welcome in our school. We know that our school is welcoming by the surveys that we give out. We survey our students, we survey our parents. We also have our parents complete the evaluations at the end of the family events. And one of the key things that always come up is welcoming. It feels like family. And every time we talk about those evaluations, we say that was our intention. That's what we want to hear. That was the goal, to make people feel like they're part of the family. They are part of the family, not just feel that way, to know that they're part of the family. Did I skip one?
Just go backwards a bit, slide backwards.
There's one not on here. Communicate relentlessly. I know what it was. It's not on here though. But communicate relentlessly was one of our other collective commitment. And one of the things that we do, I use the Remind app. It's a texting app because I know it's easier for parents to text. They text me, I text them back. I send out messages that way. Right now I have about 150 people on that app, so a lot of people are getting my messages. We send out classroom newsletters weekly. That's a requirement at our school. We volunteers. we even let volunteers know what's going on, because sometimes they're mentoring and working with a kid, and that kid is performing. So we let volunteers know about everything that's going on around school. They'll come to the assemblies, they come to events, so that's always huge. We have a parent and, in some cases, and a community member sitting on all of our teams, the wellness team, the BBSS team, the IoT team, the FACE team, and the PTC. This year, I'm doing something new. You can tell I get nervous easy. I got my little sweat towel here. But, so I stepped out of my comfort zone, and I worked with Mr. Greg, and I'm sending out a video newsletter this year. So we've been sending out video newsletters. I'm in front of the camera telling parents what's going on at the school. I send it out through the Remind app. I have some really great responses to that. They love that. It's easier for them to listen, and if they have questions, they can text me and ask questions. So now to this slide. That beautiful background, that's what our kids see every day, and our visitors and our families see every day as they leave the school. We want them to know that we love them. I tell them that every day too, because we do. We're working to improve our reading achievement. As you can see, 2016, we were at 21% based on the PARC and IAR testing. We went up slightly, but we went down slightly, 2 percentage points last year. And we still have a lot of room to grow. So that's what we're working on. We are the intervention block, the goal setting, the teacher professional development, all those things, the mentorships. So all those things we're using to help us improve in those areas. Our point of pride is our family and community engagement. Anything we need at school, we find a way to get it. Somebody's always there to support our school. Our families are very involved. They're there when we need them, and we show them that we love them. So we're a family at Blackhawk. You guys are a part of our family. We're just waiting on some of you to come visit us.
Thank you.
Any questions?
There's some teachers out there to...
Oh, yeah, Miss Dunn.
Yeah?
Right there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So what's the time, guys?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
That's what we need.
Good.
We've got it.
Okay, move on to business report, 8.1.
Okay. Mr. Fretz, say that. Welcome aboard.
Thank you. President Simmers and members of the board attaches a summary of revenue expenditures for the month of August 2019 for the education and O&M funds. The accounts receivable report is also attached. For August, the Ed Fund revenues were $5.87 million, and Ed Fund expenditures totaled $2.88 million. Revenues exceeded expenditures by just under $3 million. The O&M Fund revenues were $273,000, and expenditures were $1.46 million. Expenditures exceeded revenues by $1.2 million. As of August, outstanding state payments total just over $1.7 million. That concludes my report.
Any board members have any questions? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to 9.1, superintendent's report.
All right, well, here's the data that you've been looking for. We actually are down to, and I know this still seems big, but when you look at our trend data, it's much improved. Today, we did have to exclude 319 students from school not having their physical or their immunizations. However, this is a drop from last year. At this same date, we were at 528 students excluded. In 2013, we had 740 that year on this date, and so that's when we knew we needed to jump into action. The numbers dropped slightly in 2014, my first year here, but then the next year we had to go, we went up again to 387, and that's the year we put the meningitis vaccine in place, and that affects our high school kids. But once again, we kind of have been between 500 over the last 3 years, and we've got that down to 300. I think I can't say enough about the community support. Just to echo what Mr. Jordan said at his school and what Mr. Grossen said, we also feel that community support. We have a great shout out to Keep Kids in School Coalition. It's a collaborative between the district, SIU School of Medicine, Department of Pediatrics, and the Center for Family Medicine and the Sangamon County Department of Public Health that have really helped us provide so many different physical and immunization clinics, not only at our schools, but also at the fairgrounds this year. And also to St. John's College of Nursing and Midwest Technical Institute, who assisted the Keep Kids in School clinics. I want to give a shout out to Val Rogers and Bree Hankins and Nayla Mitchell for all of your work in getting the message out to schools relentlessly and talking to everybody that we really need. So also a shout out to the County Department of Public Health mobile unit, which is brand new this year. It's staffed by the SIU Pediatrics and SIU Center for Family Medicine. The mobile unit will be offering medical services to district students 3 days a week, and that's going to actually provide physicals, sports physicals, and also if there's any acute or chronic illness that a student is facing, as long as they have parental support and sign off, they can go and attend the clinic on site. We set up, thank you, Mr. Shaver, for helping us set up the electrical outlets that are needed. This is like a RV, so to speak. It is an RV, but when you go inside, it's not your normal RV. It actually has, medical rooms inside of it. So this mobile clinic healthcare is once again something that they can treat minor injuries, prescribe medications, and do on-site simple lab tests like strep throat, things of that nature. The mobile health clinic registration form and SIU consent forms must be completed by the parent or guardian in order for the students to be seen at the mobile clinic. That information can be accessed on our main webpage, and appointments for the mobile clinic can be made by contacting the nurse at the child's home school, and they'll tell you when the schedule is, but they are scheduled to go to the high schools. And it's also set up so that our middle schools and elementary schools can also let families know, and they can take them to the mobile clinic, or we could have transportation provided for students if the parents do sign off for that. It is actually really taking a step into the future for helping to provide on-site medical assistance for our students, and I think that's something that's needed. So, it's just going to help us even further, hopefully, in the future. But we have drastically dropped our numbers. We actually believe that a lot of those got taken care of today. Sangamon County Health Department had open slots today that they had to go get their immunizations, and we know a lot of families hop to it, so we expect those numbers to drastically drop. And I'll be able to give you an update this Friday and just let you know where we are. And we will be relentless, once again, in helping families get these things done. We don't want students to miss more than they have to, but thank heavens the number is dropping a little bit from past years. Another shout out to the freshman class at UIS, another great partner for us for their participation in the UIS STARS Serving Springfield project. This is the 4th year UIS has partnered with the district by providing student partners. They help plant gardens, organize classroom libraries, put up bulletin boards, and did a lot of other great projects. We're thankful for their continued partnership with UIS. And the UIS STARS is an opportunity for them to be acclimated with their new community for which they're attending. Also wanted to give a shout out to Hope Church and John's Appliance Center. They donated a washer and dryer to Feitchens Elementary School. Did you get to see the dryer when you went? But they have a new washer and dryer. The teacher, staff, and Principal Boozer were very grateful for that donation. As you know, those are just things happen, and we can help students out when we have those things in our schools. And last but not least, I don't want to reiterate again, but thank you to the Illinois State Museum, the Springfield Public Schools Foundation, Horace Mann, Springfield Education Association for helping host the teacher appreciation event. Hundreds of teachers were there, kind of mingling throughout the I think we all appreciate that the Illinois State Museum is now back open again, and just getting to see the exhibits and also hearing some great music and having some good food. So we really appreciate the work that all those organizations put into making that a great event. I think one thing that I wanted to mention that was in my bulletin to all of you is tonight we will be voting on the project management team to really help us with our facilities prioritization and also create specific transfer packages for our work. So we have BLDD Architects, we have O'Shea Builders, supported by the consultation of Hanshin Engineering and Charles Joseph Pell, CJP Architects. and Vasconcells Engineering, which are all right local in our community, and also IDG Architects, which are down the road in Peoria, and they are a minority-owned architectural firm that is based in Peoria and also in Texas. Having a very local and central Illinois team was very important to us. The goal of this project management team will be to complete kind of the work that needs to be done and help us prioritize. So they'll really have three goals. First, they'll help us with our implementation plan. This will include the development of project milestones, project prioritization, scheduling that will fit our funding, and also the capabilities of the labor market, which is a very important point of this work, and also strategic grouping in order to realize economies of scale. So for instance, a group might be all of our middle schools and the improvements that they need, or some of our different elementary schools and their smaller projects. Also, it will include prototype solutions. So we're going to actually bring some design elements to our current schools, let teachers and students really work in those environments and feel the work that's going to be coming their way soon. Second, it'll define the project requirements. So that's very important to an architect firm or an engineering firm that's getting ready to bid on the work. We'll create educational standards that will be through the engagement of the stakeholders in the schools. We'll complete kind of a futures workshop. IDG Architects is going to be very involved in that process, where we can really consider prototype solutions and future-focused learning environments. We really want to know what the teachers and the students want in their specific educational spaces that are going to be built. Not maybe going to be built, but are going to be built. And that's what's so exciting about this project. And then it'll get down to some of the nitty-gritty, like the actual square feet of new construction, project budget, and timeline needs. These are all things that architects and engineering firms need to have in order to bid on the projects. And it will include systems and material standards to make sure all of our projects have similar standards in design. We certainly don't want to build 10 different buildings with all different light fixtures or 10 different HVAC systems. We want to make sure that those things are standard, and those will be in the transfer packages that will be the actual solution that will come out of this work over the course of the year. This involves the creation of the specific project groupings, specific project scope, and project budget and schedules, systems and material standards, and kind of a project responsibility matrix that will follow. So with all of that work being done, then our local firms and firms across the country can bid on these projects, and we can find the best solution for our educational facilities. I'm really excited about this work. The immediate implementation plan will be presented to the board in November, so we know the priorities of what we're going to start with, and some of the other work will finish throughout the school year as we move forward in actually delivering the projects that we can do soon, kind of midterm, and then also into the future. I know that we had a couple of board members that sat in on the RFQ process, and I would love to hear from them at this time to just kind of hear about what you learned and the work that we did.
Well, Scott and I were on the panel, and we had the opportunity to interview. We had 3 companies that came out, and all of them gave outstanding proposals. But in the end, our decision, and it just wasn't us. We had probably 20 members. Superintendent Scott and myself were the only board members that were on the panel. The rest of them were all local business people, from banking, we had some administrators, some principals. So, I mean, we had probably about 20 folks that, we sat through the presentations. It was a long night, but, very interesting. And each of the groups that came and spoke were very, very informative, very, very supportive of what we're doing. But when it came down to it at the end, the group that we chose was, we just felt the most comfort with them. And as Superintendent Gill said, the local flavor makes a very big impact. Because, obviously, you can't get much more local in the city of Springfield than School District 186. And we're grateful for the presentation that Sam and his group put together. And, I asked a lot of questions, which I usually do. And the group that Sam put together were able to answer every one of them. And I'm not saying that the other groups that came before us weren't weren't forthcoming, but in the end, it was a unanimous decision to go with the recommendation.
Yeah, I would agree with everything that Ms. Mars just said. For me, the importance of reinvesting all of this money back into the community was very important. So these tax dollars will continue to circle throughout the community with these local partners. And yeah, it was a very lengthy conversation for all three of them. But at the end of the night, every one of us agreed that this was the right way to go.
Is this set to be implemented pretty much right away?
Yep, immediately, we'll get started.
I was trying to find a timeline, and some of the attachments, it looked like the work would be running through March 30th, but I couldn't tell if it was going further than that.
Well, this part of it, we want to have these transfer packages ready to go, because if you're going to be bidding on work for summer for our immediate plans, you've got to have those out and ready to go pretty quickly.
So just timing it through next summer?
Yeah. And really kind of realizing the labor market.
And I would like to thank you too for volunteering to be on this committee, and thank you for the time you spent. Does anyone else have any questions of the superintendent?
Well, I just have another question. So, with the priority of the work, is that to be determined, or has that already been determined?
Well, no, it has not been determined, except for we have a 10-year plan. So the work is already listed out in our 10-year plan. Now we'll be looking at all of the things we wanted to do within those first 10 years and deciding which project might be best to start before the school year's out this year. I mean, some of our security upgrades and some of those things can be done while students are in school. We'll have to look at what can be done while school's in session. Two, what can be done over the first summer, logistically and with the local labor force.
So would there be
and all
another
those
committee?
things. So that work will be done. We're going to listen to our new project management team and decide how we're going to do that. We're going to look at all the projects. They have a lot of great computer programs that'll help spit out some numbers and things of that nature, but yes, we will still have to address the board over time, and then also have conversations on a regular basis.
Okay, I just want to encourage that in the future that you continue to have the community involvement.
Oh, yeah, it's a big part of it.
Parents and business owners to be
Yes.
part of the conversation.
That's a big part of their proposal, and they can speak to that a little bit later.
Yeah, and part of the conversation I want to highlight again is ensuring that when we put together this plan of what goes first, what's shovel-ready and all of that, is making sure that there's equity across the entire school district, and the folks agreed to that as well, too, in their planning, to ensure that we see a good mix of facility improvements going on in different parts of the district.
Okay, now we'll, go ahead.
Well, the resolution isn't up there yet, but when we had a discussion the other day, you told me 800,000, I'm looking at 900,000. For how many groups are involved in this?
There's 5 different partners, but I did do some cost-benefit, kind of looking at local districts. I know Champaign was well over 500,000, and they only had 12 projects. We have 20-plus projects that we're doing, so it is the going rate of the industry, and but I don't have the exact number in my head, but it's 800 and something thousand.
It was 895.
895, yeah.
Yeah.
That's an even number we should know. And,
That's
the
why I
20
called it
projects
chicken.
are going to be over 10 years? Is that what you're telling me?
It really depends.
Can I
I'm
interrupt
sorry.
you one second?
Yes,
Can we table this till we get the actual resolution?
I'll answer that question.
Then we
Answer
can
the resolution.
talk about when we get to the vote.
I just wanted to give
and
you kind of
discussion.
an overview.
Okay, I don't want
No,
to just get railroaded.
No,
I gotcha.
I
No,
want
I
you to be able to ask it. I just want to do it at the appropriate venue when we start to vote on it.
Well, I guess my point is that she brought it up, and it's not a discussion item, it's on the roll call, and we do so many things where they come up on
The
the roll call, we don't
prioritization
have
with-
previous discussion before it gets to the roll, and we need to stop that.
We will be looking at the total plan, to answer your question specifically, total plan over with these dollars that we have proposed. But then we'll be prioritizing what can be done now, what can be done within the first 10 years. And many of these projects will be able to be moved up, I believe, by different funding sources and in different ways. Last thing for you is we are at 13,657 students right now. Compared to last year, we are down about 300 students, but I heard these guys both mention that students came in the door today. So these were as of Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock. So we do know the students enrolled. I'll have updated numbers for you. So when I update you with immunizations, I'll update you with our current enrollment this Friday as well.
So what was it, last Friday, 13,000 what?
657, and that's down about 310 students, and it is spread throughout every school. It isn't any one big school that got hit. It's just kind of it's spread throughout all of our schools. The largest drop we had at elementary was 40 students down, and we're looking at some housing trends in that neighborhood that may be changing and shifting that are affecting their population. The rest are anywhere between, they're either equal to their population or between that. Middle schools, the highest number we're down is 48 students at Washington Middle School. And just interestingly enough, the elementary that's down the most student feeds to Washington. So once again, we think it's a housing, when housing areas are closed or being renovated, it does affect overall population at some of the schools, kind of ebb and flow.
One of the things I'm hearing, and it's just not about Springfield, it's about the whole state. When I've talked to a few principals that have lost students, they're leaving the state.
Yeah.
They're not moving to neighboring districts, they're leaving the state. And hopefully we can turn that around.
Do we have any numbers that you can share on the high schools?
Yes, they're almost exactly the same. Lanphier's got 30 less students, Southeast has 4 additional students, and Springfield High has 43 less students this year as compared to last year on the state.
Thank you.
Kind of steady on the high schools. Okay, that's it.
Now we'll turn to consent action items. Superintendent Gill.
President Zimmers and members of the board, I recommend approval of consent action items 10.2 through 10.7 as described in the corresponding resolutions.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion?
No discussion, just a comment. If you haven't, for the UCP agreement, if you have not been able to get over to Inc. 186 and check it out, you should.
Awesome.
It's an excellent program.
Any other? Hearing none, we'll take a vote.
Mars.
Aye.
McFarland.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Moore.
Present.
Ringer.
Aye.
Zimmers.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
That is 6 aye votes and 1 present.
Okay, roll call items, 11.1.
Mrs. Sherman?
President Zimmers and members of the board, the superintendent recommends adoption of the personnel recommendations as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a vote.
Miller.
Aye.
Moore.
Present.
Ringer.
Aye.
Zimmers.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Mars.
Aye.
McFarland.
Aye.
That is 6 aye votes and 1 present.
Before we move on, we have a new head of security for the district, and I
Yeah.
understand he's in the audience. Todd
Right over there.
Taylor, if you'd like to stand. Congratulations.
Todd has 26 years of tenure with the Springfield Police Department, so you bring a wealth of information, emergency team trainer, commander of the SPD Rapid Response Team. You've led the SWAT team, the K-9 unit, the gang unit. You served as a detective and the lead homicide detective, so your duty to our community is commendable, and we're excited to have you on board. I know you'll be replacing John Philbrin, but we're excited to have you on board and get the ground running with John over the next month, so thank you for being here.
Welcome. Welcome.
And I should say, since 1991, he served as an off-duty officer and served every city tournament since then, so.
Okay, we'll move on to 11.2.
Mr. Fretz?
President Zimmers and members of the board, this resolution provides for and gives notice of a public hearing to be held September 16th, 2019 pursuant to the Bond Issue Notification Act concerning the intent of the Board of Education to sell general obligation bonds of the district in an amount not to exceed $14 million for health, life, safety projects.
Okay, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
These are projects that were already on the books, to be determined, the timing of all these with this as well.
Yes. And a lot of these things are going to be, they need to be done for the maintenance of life of our buildings.
further discussion, comments? Hearing none, we'll take a vote.
Miller,
Aye.
Moore,
Present?
Ringer.
Aye.
Zimmers.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Mars.
Aye.
McFarland.
Aye.
That is 6 aye votes and 1 present.
And now 11.3, approval of resolution regarding the project management team. Mr. Shaver.
Thank you. Mr. Zimmers, President Zimmers, members of the board, superintendent recommends adoption of the following resolution. Whereas Springfield School District 186 developed a long-term facilities plan, and whereas BLDD architects and partners can provide expertise in implementing the plan and developing project requirements, facility standards, transfer packages, now therefore be resolved that the Board of Education accepts BLDD architects' proposal for project management services up to a cost of $895,000 to be paid from the county's school facility tax proceeds during the 2019-2020 school year, with the first payment in December.
Do you have a motion?
So moved.
I just had a quick question about this since we were kind of,
We need a second
We got a
first.
second first.
second,
All right.
since we had a quick question about this. So the need for this service makes sense to me. We've got multiple facilities that are very similar, and we want to have a well-thought-out plan of attack. The cost of $895,000, though, I'm wondering if you had anything else that helps kind of compare where that cost stands
So I did
for the amount
that.
of facilities we're talking about.
I get to drive to Champaign quite a bit lately. They're doing major renovation on their high schools and their 12 schools around the district. They went out for project management work, and it was just 12 schools, and it was like $545,000 for their projects. These are going to be 20 different projects. By the time that this is done, we'll have transfer packages. These are very important things. These are the specific requirements that are needed to go out and bid on each and every project that we have. And so this is the work, this is the technical work that I wish I could just have them jump up and explain real quick, but it's the technical work that goes beyond every specificity that needs to be bid on in the packages. So it's actually going to be a cost savings to us when we go out for bid, because the architects and the engineers that are bidding on these projects, and not any one organization can do all of these projects at one time, because they also have a lot of other work going on. So this work will be spread far and wide, and this package will allow them to bid on exactly what we want as a board in the order and timeline that we actually decided.
And that's kind of what I was getting at, because I just wanted to make sure people are going to hear that this is almost $1 million of this 1% sales tax money going to a study, but this could be.
Yeah, it's way more than a study, way more.
Right,
It's
but this
actual.
could be a cost savings
systematics,
without
right.
having some kind of a plan of attack.
Right. And, one thing that, and I've heard this story several times, but if you go and you have two different architectural teams building two different elementary schools at the same time, and one school ends up having this beautiful gymnasium and commons area and everything, and the next school doesn't, that's going to be a problem in the community, right? That's going to be what we call an educational standard problem. We don't have the educational standards as a board and as a community. We need to come together and make sure that we have those standards in place so that we don't have any inequities. And one of our things was equitable facilities for all students. And we know that our facilities are inequitable right now, and we need to solve that problem, and we do that through making sure that we have these specific guidelines and transfer packages ready to go. And it'll be the guide that we use and the actual schematics and designs and plans that we use for all of our work as we move forward. And this is important to Mr. Shaver and his department, because your manpower is not as such to do all of this work. So we would have to go, if we bid every single project out individually and said go, and we don't have any of this stuff in place, it would cost us more money down the road, because every single firm would be doing this work. So it wouldn't be, I think that that's what we heard Mr. Mars and Mr.
I just wanted to make sure that that explanation was out there, because
Thank you.
it
I
makes
appreciate it.
sense. And
This is a big thing.
I trust the members that were involved in the cost of doing business for this amount of facilities, so.
The example given that was really clear to me was, if you don't do this on a universal basis, one group may come in using one siding material, and another group may use a different siding material, and the difference in cost loses you hundreds of square feet in building size. So one school may get a smaller gym because they have nicer siding. which we don't want to have happen.
And Mr. Shaver now has to carry 2 types of replacement sidings in his
Yes.
shop rather than 1. Yeah. We don't want 25 different light bulbs.
Okay, yeah. Some of this I have had experience with in building and whatever, and I think that it would be nice to have the professionals do a presentation because they are the professionals, you're not the professional. In this resolution, it does not name the partners. I think the partners should be named in the resolution. You name the people that were interviewing for Sub-District 5 in the newspaper today, but you can't name the partners that are listed in the resolution. And when you talked to me about it last week, it was my understanding that this would be over 10 years at $800,000. Now, here's another $100,000, and this says 2019, 2020. What's the difference here?
Well, I'm sorry if I didn't get the specific amount to you. I thought I was specific, but I did mention earlier that it's O'Shea Builders, Hanson Engineering, Charles Joseph Pell Architects, and CJP Architects, Vasconcells Engineering, and IDG Architects, and I believe all are represented here in the room, or most tonight, that can speak to any of our questions that you may have.
So the extension of, over what period of time is the $895,000 going to be expended?
1 year, but we'll have everything we need for our future planning. This is a lot of work that has to be done. It's site development, it's going into the, schools and talking with families. I'm going to be a busy camper this year, working hard, as well as each of our partners, as well as Daryl's shop over at O&M.
Okay, well, I would just advise you to let the architects do what they're doing, and you make sure these kids are learning. I just don't understand how we went from 10 years down to 1. Where was that?
We're not going to do the work. The 10 years is how long it will take to do the first phase, the actual work of the first phase.
Yeah, and I will say, I had sticker shock too when I heard the price, because we didn't discuss price when we had the meeting, because it was a request for qualifications, not for proposals.
That's correct.
But when you look at it, you have this upfront cost, but that is going to design every single proposal request you have going forward. So you cannot do a 10-year plan unless you have that upfront.
Well, it's sort of like building a house. You have your design plan, and then it takes a year to build it. This is a mini project, so you have to have your design plan and then build it over time.
Well, it's not that we don't understand that part of it. We just need accurate information. That's my only
Yes, ma'am.
request.
Yes, ma'am.
Accurate information.
Well, I guess, and from the conversations that we had, I had thought that this would be something that would, again, the cost would be shared over 10 years. Seeing this in writing now for 1 year, I realize that there is value there. I'm not saying that there isn't, okay? But, 10 years is a long time, and a lot of things, we can have a plan today and spend almost $1 million. 10 years from now, a lot of things can change.
Well,
So-
this board will own that data that is presented by that and be part of making sure that we implement it to its full fruition. That's the way it works, or should work.
Okay, this is a proposal for a master plan. It's going to take, to put
With
it-
details and
With very
transfer
details,
packages,
okay.
yeah.
But what are we looking for? Are we looking at hiring another company next year and paying
No,
them to be implementing it?
These transfer packages go out to specific projects. Okay, let's say that we all know that Lamphere's Edison Wing is not in good condition, all right? Let's say there's a prioritization, we're just throwing spitballs here, right? There's a prioritization to do something with the Edison Wing. By the time this project is done, we'll have a transfer package to what we need to do with Lamphere High School, and that'll go out to bid, and the person who wins that bid will go
So
to
they-
work building
they
that
do.
project.
Okay.
And we'll be out there cutting a ribbon together.
Okay. Were these expenses anticipated when we were doing our
This
facility
is what a
plan?
project management team does. And as I said, if we just said, okay, we're going to put out for bid to build a new Edison Wing addition, we would have to incur costs that are going to be covered here in that architectural, and then we'd have to do it again
Okay.
in another school. And the biggest problem is then that's when we get educational standard difficulties. Because one firm may say, well, we don't want to do that, we want to do this, and then you get inequities.
Was this also covered as a part of the spreadsheet you were showing when the cost of it, and then they had the fees, remember the fees column?
Right.
I think that's probably where this is coming into play.
Right.
Yeah.
So at the end of 2020 school year, May of 2020,
Well,
you do not
transfer packages.
anticipate these same people coming back again to ask us for some more money. We've already given them $250,000. Now we're adding another $1 million to it. So are we going to be done feeding money into their pocket, or are we
Yes.
going to put money into kids?
We're going to put money into building schools, and we'll start putting money into kids immediately with our health, life, safety bonds that will be signed.
Anything else? Hearing none, we'll take a vote.
Moore,
Present.
Ringer.
Aye.
Zimmers.
Aye.
Johnson.
Come back to me, please.
Mars.
Aye.
McFarland.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Johnson.
Okay, I'm going to vote aye, but I wanted to be put in the record that I will not vote for any more money for these people. Again, they can't keep coming to the trough.
Well, they could also bid on individual projects when those projects are out
I
there.
understand the concept
Okay.
of construction,
All right,
all right?
thank you.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm
Okay.
talking about the money that's going out. I
I
want it to be
understand for
spent.
this,
Yeah.
yes, ma'am.
6 aye votes and 1 present.
We have members of that team in the audience, so Sam Johnson, would you like to stand up and maybe introduce all the partners that you have brought with you today and say anything to answer any of their questions now that we've voted yes? Welcome aboard.
First of all, good evening, and thank you very much for your confidence in this team. We really think this is a remarkable team. 3 of the members, DLD, O'Shea, and Vasconcells, were involved in developing the master plan and working with you to develop public permission to move forward and really create your optimal future facilities. Also, as part of our team, Mr. Aaron Gunn with IDG Architects. We're extremely proud to be teaming with Aaron. We are teaming right now with another project in another city, but I believe these 2 schools will be the only schools that involve an African-American-owned architect in all of downstate. And we're just so happy to be able to work together on this. Also, CJP Architects, Chuck Pell, bringing a historical perspective to the design of the buildings as well as an understanding of the history of the individual buildings, involving those in the overall solution. And then finally, Hanson Engineers.
Back at the corner, yeah.
Gary, thank you. We're really happy to have Hanson on board as part of the team. I don't know how well we know, but they're a world-class firm headquartered right here in Springfield, Illinois. The work they've done around the community is really helpful, especially at Lanphier High School. But they're also going to help develop building materials performance standards. These are the kinds of things that lower life cycle costs over the life cycle of your buildings. This kind of upfront work is designed to save you long-term dollars. So we think we've got a great plan for the district. We're extremely excited about being able to work, and we need to start and have our first meeting scheduled about tomorrow.
Yep.
So we'll be happy to answer any other questions, any of the team members.
Thanks, Sam.
Thank you.
Okay, before we get on to the business of doing the oath of office for our newest board member, Donna Moore would like to say a few things.
I just wanted to express my gratitude and thanks to fellow board members for working together and putting up with all my questions. But I just want to thank you very much for all the work that you put into the school district. And Superintendent Gill, thank you very much for your leadership. And for Julie and Nikki, for all the work that you put in, preparing for the board meetings and answering our questions and putting all the information together and making it very succinct. So thank you, Julie. I'll pass on to Nikki. And I'd also like to thank my constituents of District 186, Sub-District Number 5, for giving me the opportunity to represent them. When I initially ran for office, my goals were pretty simple. I wanted there to be accountability, I wanted to balance the budget, and also to attempt to close the achievement gap. Under accountability, we've really taken responsibility in the district for the results And we've also created change in policy in order to be more accountable. In addition, our annual financial audit, when I began, we had 13 findings in that audit, 9 of which were repeat findings, to last year where we had no findings. So it was because of that accountability that, we really took responsibility and turned our financial office procedures around. For balancing the budget, this has been achieved. Our revenues have exceeded expenditures for 4 of the last 5 years, and we've gone on from having a deficit to having a healthy surplus, which meets the district policy. And as far as closing the achievement gap, to me, this is just a work in progress. It's something that we're continuing to work towards closing that gap. And but I really like the way that we started bringing mosaic services to the school, and also the MAP testing. I think that's really helping the teachers to identify the students' needs. And it's a consistent test, instead of relying on the state where, we had the flavor of the year for whatever standardized test we're going to use. As a district, we decided to use this MAP test, where we have students' results, the teachers analyze it, and then they make decisions on how to best provide the supports to the students. In the district, we also implemented the Equal Opportunity Schools program to provide equal educational opportunities to students and to encourage traditionally marginalized students to take advanced placement courses in high school. But I think our greatest achievement, though, has been the comprehensive facilities plan, and I really look forward to seeing its fruition, but also getting that vote of confidence of getting the referendum passed. And so these are just some of the highlights, and I just want to thank you for the opportunity to serve.
I will say this, you're going to be greatly missed, and you're right. Everything that is given to you, you read. That's why you ask questions, and that's a good thing, because you read whatever's given to you. We are sorely going to miss you. You've been a great board member. Thanks for your service.
Thank you.
And I want to show gratitude to you.
Thank you.
Now, if we could have Tiffany Mathis come up. Should we do it at the podium? Yeah, we'll have you come to the podium up here, Tiffany.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's fine, yeah. So you just raise your right hand. I, Tiffany Mathis,
I, Tiffany Mathis.
affirm that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office.
I'm sorry.
Will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
Will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
of interim member of the Board of Education
of the Board of Education
of Springfield School District 186
of Springfield School District 186
in accordance with the Constitution of the United States,
in accordance with the Constitution of the United States,
Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the laws of the State of Illinois to the best of my ability.
and the laws of the State of Illinois to the best of my ability.
I further affirm that
I further affirm that
I shall respect taxpayer interests
I shall respect taxpayer interests
by serving as a faithful protector of the school district's assets.
by serving as a faithful protector of the school district's assets.
I shall encourage and respect
I shall encourage and respect
the free expression of opinion by my fellow board members
the free expression of opinion by my fellow board members
and by others who seek a hearing before the board
and by others who seek a hearing before the board,
while respecting the privacy of students and employees.
while respecting the privacy of students and employees.
I shall recognize that a board member has no legal authority
I shall recognize that a board member has no legal authority
as an individual
as an individual,
and that decisions can be made only by a majority vote
and that decisions can only be made by a majority vote
at a public board meeting.
at a public board meeting.
and I shall abide by majority decisions of the board
and I shall abide by majority decisions of the board
while retaining the right to seek changes
while retaining the right to seek changes
in such decisions through ethical and constructive channels.
in such decisions through ethical and constructive channels.
Congratulations, and you may take your seat. You're now official member. Okay, we have one more order of business before we convene. We do have a public speaker, Mr. Tim Roll. Is he still in attendance? He had to leave? Okay. All right. Do board members have any other business they'd like to conduct? Hearing none, the next board meeting will be Monday, September 16th, 2019 at 5:30. Everybody have a great rest of the week, and thank you for coming.